The Jabari Smith Jr. that played the first game of the season to the Jabari Smith Jr. that played the last game 2 days ago is completely different people. Like, once again, his balls dropped.
25 lighters on the dresser, bad bitch Vanessa, yes or no key, just pressing, my lane is reckless, or strong, they can feel the presence, wheel and deal, they can feel the pressure, fashion over bay like the dresser, got some issues, I wouldn't press it, y'all crash dummy shit, don't press it.
The other big guy that we got, I guess we can jump into it, Jabari.
The Jabari Smith Jr. that played the first game of the season to the Jabari Smith Jr. that played the last game 2 days ago is completely different people. Like, once again, his balls dropped. He's sick of being criticized. He's sick of hearing about Paolo. He's sick about his teammates shining. The things he's been doing over the past 10 games are exactly what we expected him to do. Like, he's pump faking from the 3-point. He's like, fuck the 3-point line. Like, he was so ingrained in his head, like, you're such a great shooter, shoot the 3-pointer. He was firing that hole off without looking at the rim. Too fast, missing. Now he's getting his shit together. One dribble into the lane, pulling up just like Jalen did last year, hitting it from 20, and he's on fire from there. He did a baseline fadeaway the other day, and I was like, I don't know if he's been working with Hakeem, but that shit sure looked like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I fucking love it.
Yeah, he got a lot of third overall pick. He got a lot of, I guess, unbiased opinions on, because he wasn't first. Everybody predicted him. Paulo came out, but we all knew it. Paulo's a scorer. He's going to come out and do what he does. He scores.
But that's the thing is Paolo came out on fire. And nobody knows what Chet is. So who was the scapegoat? It was Jabari.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing so well. So he was the scapegoat the whole time. Yes, Orlando did right. Paolo should have been first because that team needs what he does more. And if you look at the stats, Jabari's 12-7 and Paolo's 22-6. So it looks bad, but Jabari's doing it within the confines of a team with a bunch of other superstars, like stars. And Paolo's just ball hogging. So
I mean, and for me, like, we look at the Jalen Green, I feel Cade went to the right place, Mobley went to the right place, and Jalen went to the right place. It was what each team needed, and it kind of fell through for it, and it's worked out. Now you look at this year's draft, and, I mean, we don't know what Chet's going to do until he gets back from injury, but Paulo was what Orlando needed. They needed scoring, and as much as it's fun to watch a bunch of scoring, we've seen this before with the Rockets. When we knew what we needed. We needed defense. We needed somebody to go in there, guard the best player. I mean, he literally guarded Giannis that whole game.
That's my point, bro.
Players.
I was gonna say, like, even if you go to Summer League, right? Paolo lit it up. Paolo did his thing. Jaden Ivey did his thing. The Murray kid from Sacramento did his thing. Chet did his thing. Jabari didn't look that great. But guess what? Who the fuck just locked Giannis down? Jabari. Gave the dude 16 points. And don't tell me it's because Giannis had a bad day, because Giannis only has one way to play, and he just couldn't do that shit on Jabari. Jabari would not let – Jabari went up with him on a fast break in the last minute of that game and blocked his shit off the backboard. And I was like, I've never seen somebody do that to Giannis before. Ever.
Yeah.
Aside from Embiid. Like, that shit is different good.
You look at his body, you look at the length he has, the size he has, and, I mean, it's first year. So people, I've been watching, and people are like, oh, you know, he's little still. Well, yeah, I mean, it's his first season. You look at Yao Ming when we had him, and then look at the second year we got him. You look at Jalen, I mean, he's going to bulk up, being a whole year with this Rocket staff, showing the NBA way.
And Houston food.
And this dude's literally probably practicing with freaking Boban every damn day, probably.
How many TikTok videos have you seen of Jabari eating? A bunch. It's all that fool been doing is eating and lifting. He's gonna be good, bro. Just leave him alone, you know? Like, that's why I tell people, like, quit doing this bullshit comparison. Jabari's the next KD or this and that. It's like, no, you know, that's just not fair to him, because that shit stuck in his head and he thought he had to play a certain way.
Yeah.
And then if you really watch Jabari play at his best, if I was going to comp him to anybody, Houston, there's a real possibility you have the next Kevin Garnett there. Like, that's what I see.
Yeah. And Garnett was a superstar, but he was a team player superstar.
I mean, Jabari could be just as good. A lot of what Kevin Garnett's lore came from the fact that he was he was a high school player that was kind of uncommon at the time. He had a lot of hype behind him, but even then he had a little bit of time. He took a little bit of time to get his shit together. Jabari only has like 25 pro games under his belt. Just leave him alone, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's tough because the rebuild of the Rockets is totally different than the Texans. If you try to compare the two as a fan, you're discrediting the Rockets of what they're doing, and you're not being fair to Jabari on what he has shown you. If all you look at is offensive stats and that's it, and you haven't watched him actually play the game, like even when he was in Auburn, he said it. He goes, "I'm a team player. I want to do good for my team." And you're seeing that now. He has no problem with when he gets a shot to take it. He's not like Ben Simmons out there scared, but he also understands that Jalen Green is the number one option. And so he's like, all right, you're going to go shoot. I'm going to go get this rebound then, or I'm going to go back on defense and help get this block. Like, it's what we talk about, that yin and yang of what we needed. And it fell in our lap, luckily, because everybody thought he was going number one, and we ended up getting him. And it's looking like the chemistry of what you needed of two people that can play.
Jabari is so much smarter than people realize. Like the knock on him coming out of college was the dude don't have a handle. He don't have a handle, right? Yeah. But if you watch him lately, he's been dribbling the ball a lot more without fear. And what I mean by that is we played Miami the other day. He rebounds the ball, turns around. He's kind of got an outlet to go, and he looked up, and the only person standing there was Udonis Haslem, and he was like, "Bitch, move!" And he just took off with the ball. And I was like, he knows he has every advantage over him, so he was gonna make that play. And that's shit you learn 5 years down the line, you know. Yeah. So I mean, I see a superstar there. I really do. I at some point believe, and this may be a hot take. This may be me a homer. You could call me whatever the fuck you want to. Somewhere down the line, Jabari Smith Jr. will be in the talks of the best two-way player in basketball. In my opinion, I see that. Like, he's going to be the best two-way player in basketball.
I mean, he has the body. He has the shot is there. The mechanics.
He's already elite defensively.
Yeah. His defense, he's going up. He's locking down elite superstars. I mean.
So what do you do when the day comes he averages 22 points? Nothing. It's going to be like how we felt about Clay pre-injury. It's like you can't stop that dude. You just hope that he's having a bad day, you know?
There's height is one thing you can't guard well sometimes, and it's just, I mean,
he's such a high shooting release, and I mean, I'm a Jalen guy, hands down as my favorite Rocket right now. But fucking Jabari's sneaking up on him. Like Jabari might be my guy.
It's funny because you see like it's I mean, you have two superstars in the making for totally different reasons. And so I feel like if you're I'm the high scoring, high flasher, you're going to be like, oh shit, Jalen all the way. You know, highlight reels. I mean, I can do a highlight reel probably every game with just his dunks alone. And then you look at Jabari, and he's one of those in the trenches, you know, elbowing those little elbows in the paint and getting blocks and just, I mean, they call him the locksmith for a damn reason. Like, but watching them like play together, it's funny because you see where we came from of them arguing on the bench, and everybody's like, oh shit, it's not going to work out with these two.
The funny thing is the very instant that happened, as Rockets fans, we were like, oh, no, don't do that, right? Every professional basketball player turned analysis was like, don't worry about it. That ain't shit. What you're looking at is two young boys who want to win. They just don't know how to do it yet. And I was like, all right, if y'all say so. And they were right. They were right because I ain't seen anything out of him. Another thing I want to mention about Jabari, just to give him his props today, is he averages 12.7 points a game. Sengun averages 14.2. We don't run plays for Jabari. He just does that shit in the context of the game. You know what I mean? Sengun's a ball hog, so it's like, damn, I'm one bucket away from catching you, and y'all not doing shit for me. So that's like, to me, like that's just like optimism. Like he's gonna be that good.
I mean, easily. At this point, you have to put him like a number 2 option, second superstar. But I feel like it's a 1A, 1B thing with him and Green. And then it comes down to like at some point, I mean, I love Sengun and what he does, but if you got a dude averaging 20 points, 22 points, and then you add in Jalen Green's almost 30 points, I mean, if he can get his points off of what he's doing now, amazing. But at some point, you're going to be like, yeah, I got to feed you more into my offense.
I think Jalen Green, no matter who the coach is, will always kind of be considered the number 1 option solely because he requires the ball.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. I mean, that's kind of the Devin Booker trajectory. And I don't mind it because Devin Booker's that good. You know what I mean?
Drop 50 on you usually.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But the fact that, like we say, Jabari can just go do his shit and I don't need you to run a play. I don't need you to post me up. I don't need any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to run my lanes. I'm going to shoot the open shots. I'm going to one dribble into the lane. And the dude is an amazing free throw shooter. So I just fucking love it. Jabari, thank you for coming to Houston.
Yeah. I mean, it was, we did the draft. We were kind of like, oh man, Banchero went first. And then,
well, we were sold on the fact that we were stuck with Banchero, but you could go back 2 months before the draft and you and I were both like, we want Jabari. We want Jabari.
I mean,
and we got it.
It makes the perfect sense. And of what you needed defense. Offense wasn't our problem last year. Defense was. And you look at our defensive numbers. I mean, of course, we're not the best defensive team. We have those mental errors, but with just Jabari coming over, and Jalen actually trying, our defense has gotten even better. And I look at them as like I don't want to compare. I hate comparing players because it's hard to compare players when their skill sets are totally different. But I do feel like in a way, this is more of a like 2-headed duo compared to like a big 3 of the NBA where you have like Tatum Brown type of thing. Mm-hmm. Or like we talked about it, John Moran and
Jaren Jackson.
Yeah. It's kind of like
the whole like I'm not trying to shit on Jalen and Tatum, but they have it a lot easier than what our boys have it.
Yeah.
Like they got put into that team went to the Eastern Conference Finals like their rookie year on the back of some veterans who were playing their ass off. Like literally, when I say we stripped our team down to nothing, we had nothing.
I mean, we were getting made fun of.
Exactly. So like we truly are the definition of what a rebuild is. You know what I mean?
As I said, you lose James Harden, you come in, you get Jalen Green, Josh Christopher, Alfred Sengun. Everybody's like, oh, okay, Jalen Green, cool. Nobody talks about the others. Next year, you get Jabari Smith, Ty, and Tari Eason.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just like, oh, I have 6 players that pretty much.
And you got 7. Sengun, not Sengun. Usman Garuba was the first round pick last year.
Garuba too, yeah. And then, I mean, you throw in Kevin Porter just basically walking out of Cleveland, like,
Yep.
I mean,
that's what I'm thinking. It's like, bro, if we don't get, I want to say a top 5 pick in this draft, because there's a possibility we don't.
Yeah.
And because we're winning, would you be interested in packaging some of these picks and players and say, okay, I'm bringing in either an elite point guard or a really, really good center?
Yeah.
Who that person is, I don't know. But I would be interested in doing that, you know? Like, as much as we shit on him, and I'm not the biggest fan of his, imagine if you could just say we don't want to draft anybody this year, which I doubt that's going to happen because it's a good draft. But say I'm willing to give up a couple picks and a couple players and bring in Rudy Gobert to play center. Like, we don't fucking like the dude, but the fact that you protect the rim and we have people who aggressively guard the ball on the perimeter, I think that would make us a really good team.
I mean, I don't really need you to score much. I got enough of that.
That's my point. Is you're there for one reason, to do the two things you're fucking good at: rebounding and shot blocking.
Yeah. Like if he came on the cheap, I'd love it. It's his contract that is quite. I think that's what hurts him is his contract. And if he was to be a nice veteran,
but even if it's not Gobert and you could swindle that kind of, think about like a Jared Allen.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, and we've talked about it. This is the time now I feel where veterans coming in will help this team a lot.
Yeah.
Learning I mean, you have Boban, like we said, he's kind of like the bench general in the back, but I think you add a nice, like, even like a nice veteran point guard and another center that actually plays, though.
I would aggressively go after Ricky Rubio if I'm the Houston Rockets. Like, I feel like he's the kind of point guard that would help us because he could set off. I'm so pissed off that I would call the Lakers right now and be like, look, motherfucker, I will give you Eric Gordon and Garrison Matthews and send me Schroeder back.
Yeah.
Schroeder played really good with us last year. I'll take him back.
Yeah. I mean, Garrison Matthews is out for illness, so you know what that usually means for sports.
Yep. And I'm not hating on him. He's a good player. He got a lot of heart. He gives effort. There's just no place on our team. There's absolutely no reason, Silas, why he is playing and Christopher's not.
Yeah. You have too much young guys that need to get developed and need to be playing against NBA caliber. For you to have Josh Christopher he'll go to the G League and drop 35 on somebody, and then you bring him back, and then you're like, oh, I don't know. Like, and then you have Ty that just comes in and has a monster plus minus in like 10 minutes.
But that's the point, is like, you watch that dude, the things that he does, I see a pro level, really good point guard. He has an amazing handle, dribbles the ball with his head up. He knows where everybody's at all times. He plays really good defense. What he's missing is somebody to teach him how to be a pro. You know what I'm saying?
What better way than to do it in the NBA?
Yep. And with a player like Rubio, just look at what Rubio did with Sexton and Garland. Do that to our guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let him eat a little more.
Yep.
Yeah, man, Rocket fans, be patient. Like, for real, I get it's hard having one team that's really good. But Alex Bregman said, he goes, this team reminds me of a young team that was at the bottom of the barrel, and we saw them develop into what we know now. And you look at, I always want to say, look at Golden State of how they built their team up and then stayed to restock their team. That's what it kind of feels like Stone's doing. Like, he's not trading anybody away just to get them off the books, like in Gordon, Matthews, Tate, but he's stockpiling picks. I mean, a little bit.
But that's a good thing. Like, to that point, look at how Golden State was put together. It's like you legitimately needed a coaching change from Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr to get those players used properly. Once that did, them motherfuckers been rolling ever since. It's like, no. It's like, no. Draymond don't need to be on the bench. Klay don't need to be on the bench. Like, these are starters. They come in, they win 4 championships, Not to say we'll do the same, but I'm not saying we're not either. So
yeah, I mean, you're gonna be you'll be in the talks for sure with the two guys that you have already that we've talked about. I mean, those two alone they'll be in conversations for all-stars. They'll be in conversations for, awards coming.
I easily see Jalen Green repeatedly competing for scoring titles. Like Jabari, defensive player of the year, block shot leader, those kind of things. Like, there's fundamental pieces there that'll be there for as long as they play in the league. You just have to figure out how to use them. And I'm still harping on the fact that I kind of want Kenny Atkinson as our next head coach.
Ooh.
He kind of started the rebuild for the Nets. He got them good. They go into the bubble. They're competitive with a bunch of no-name people. And, before Kyrie fucked that team up, they were on the right path. So I would like to see him do that with us, Yeah,
no, that would be good, actually.
Especially considering we don't have 2024 picks. If you go into 2023, 2024 season and you say, okay, we were a bubble team, but we got into the first round and lost at 5, but we fucking got there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
it's
for
a long
sure,
ways from going from 12, 15 wins to a bubble team.
yeah. And you don't really hear the media talk about us as a bad team anymore. They're more of the up and coming team is what they call us now. And so something's going on because there's a few people in the national media that you can listen to and they'll give you praise. But yeah,
there's absolutely nothing no basketball fan in the world can say to me to make me believe that a team like Orlando, Detroit, any of them fools are better than us. They're not better than us. We beat y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why are they being talked about and we're not?
I mean, the only reason why Orlando's getting talked about is because they got the number 1 pick and he's throwing up 30 points and doing highlights and this and that. I mean,
even bad teams, bro. Phoenix brought their funky ass to Houston the other day and we beat y'all. We went from the beginning to the end and y'all didn't even get close.
I mean, look at the Lakers. They get talked about. Barkley finally said something like, why we got to watch these damn games all the time.
I feel you.
Like,
I don't watch this shit either.
Yeah. I mean, it's Rockets. We're not on the Christmas ballot, but it'll be a good one for sure.
One day. Christmas games usually suck anyway. Good.
How much I'm working for this? I swear my dreams are too important.